Hi there, all you gorgeous people out there. Before you watch my latest video, I just wanted to show you this book. This is Interview with Beekeepers by Donahue. It's an amazing book. It's basically interviews with really awesome, well-known beekeepers from around the world. There's beekeepers from the UK, beekeeper from France, three beekeepers from America, and a beekeeper from New Zealand. And they're all awesome beekeepers in their own right. They all do different things in their own way, but their stories are all in this book of what they do and how they run their apiaries. There's Murray McGregor in Scotland, there's Mike Palmer in Vermont, there's Ray Oliveras in California, Peter Little from Exmoor in the UK, Peter Bray from New Zealand, Randy Oliver from California, and David Kemp. And guess what? Richard Noel is in it. I'm in it too. It's even more reason to go out and buy it. Great book. I'll put the ISBN number and the link at the end of the video. Go out and get it. It's a really good book. Enjoy the video. So where is time flying? We're now the 10th of May already. Absolutely incredible. In time I went live last week. I've done my honey harvest. I've raised a load of queens. I've done another what I called a flash graft, which seemed to work really well. I re-inverted that cell builder that I was using and got it going again, and it was incredible. And they've drawn up a load more cells. So they're all in the finishers again. So I've got another 80, 90 cells coming out next week, which is absolutely brilliant. But the honey harvest is done. I had approximately a third of what I had last year due to my winter losses, but I had no crystallization, and I haven't got any swarming going on at the moment. I've been through all my colonies. They're all back with supers on. So everything I've got at the moment is, we say azure, is up to date. So I'm very happy. I've got a load of work to do. I've got nukes that I made before I did my honey harvest that I've just put queens into. I've got to check them. I've got to feed them. But the weather is kind of pants at the moment. You know, I can show you it's kind of dark and grey and misty, and everything is so beautiful and lush. But I've actually been strimming today, and strimming, whippersnippering, weed eating is all another thing you have to do as a beekeeper. So I thought today would be a great day to show you how I keep my apiaries clean. And I know you've seen my big shuttle mower before. I'll show you that, but also show you some of the other equipment I use to trim and clean my apiaries, because it is so important. It's such a, I would say, a fundamental part of beekeeping is being able to manage your apiaries. Because if you don't manage your apiaries when you get them cleared, you go in and you trip over. You need to be able to access everything properly. You know, get your vehicle in, get it unloaded. A couple of years I've been really lax and not cleaned it, and then you trip over brambles. It's just dangerous. You've got to use the right equipment. You've got to get some serious investment in to get a piece of kit that's going to keep your apiaries clean and tidy for you, so that you don't have to work too hard. My thinking on whippersnippers and strimmers and weed eaters is, I have a really big beefy thing here. This thing is like years old now. I've had it for like 9 years. I've replaced virtually all of it as the time goes on. It's a flexible backpack strimmer. You can see there. I'll show you it better in a minute. But basically that sits on my back, and then it's got a really big head on it that takes like 3.5 mil strimming cord. That is absolutely brilliant, and it goes through everything. So this is the thickness of cord I use. It's absolutely brilliant. It's I don't know, environmentally friendly, if it's that environmentally friendly, but I'm sure as hell glad I use this strimmer cord rather than weed killer around my hives. At least it's an effect. I know hundreds of bits or millions of bits of this cord do end up around the area of your hives, but I don't know whether that's contaminating the soil. It's another thing we need to think about. But this is the head I use on my strimmer. You recharge it like this. It's a bit of a job sometimes to do it, but there you go, that's the bobbin. And when I've got one of these auto feeds on mine, so when you need more cable, you just tap that on the ground and this pushes down the bobbin inside and out comes the cable here. So it's a really good piece of kit. And this fits on the end here. So this machine is old now, but it still works. I've got a great guy who is a brilliant mechanic, agricultural mechanic, and basically if I get any problems, he can order parts. So that's how it works. You push that in on the ground and the cable advances out, and it's an absolute beast. This thing is actually a 50cc motor. It is actually a Komatsu machine. I've had to change, or it's Komatsu by Zenoa. It's you know, I'd buy it again because the reason why it wasn't that expensive, and it's actually proved itself over the years, you know. It really is an absolute beast. As I say, what I tend to do is I use my shuttle mower for around the main areas. So I go in there probably 3-4 times a year, and I use this mower for the other areas. Inside you've got obviously a power head here, and you've got a belt. The belt comes around there, and basically when you pull the clutch in, it turns this belt drive on underneath, and it's a pretty big blade, and it's like a mulch blade almost. I'll probably able to show you the blade there. It's a real beast. It's a single bladed machine, and that goes through everything, and that takes out brambles, it takes out small shrubs, it takes out everything. So it's a really good piece of kit to have, but you need a trailer. So I have a trailer there, and that's what I put it on when I take it out and about. But I used to do a lot of landscape maintenance and a bit of gardening, stuff like that, but I don't do that anymore. Well, I do a little bit, but very little. So I've got the experience of knowing when to cut things and when not, and what I can kind of get away with and what I can't get away with. So over the years, I've used and rented pieces of kit, and the ones I've used, I've gone, that is the one I need, and I've had the experience. So regarding the strimmers or the whippersnippering or the weed eaters, get something bigger than what you're going to need. There is nothing worse than getting an underpowered machine. It might be a little bit more expensive, but you will be so grateful for it. Because when you're beekeeping, there's never ever a time that's perfect to cut the grass. You're always late. You always wish you'd done it a week earlier. And when you've got a machine that is like this, it just absolutely blitzes it, you know. That will go for anything. I'll show you in a minute. But what I'm going to be strimming in a minute is around my beehives down the bottom of the garden. So that really isn't a problem. That's been done before recently. I do have another strimmer, another weed eater, that's like a much lighter one, and it's really for the edges of lawns and stuff like that. So what I do is I keep that as a reserve. But as long as I can get my big one in 2 or 3 times a year and do round the hives, it eats brambles, it eats stuff, and occasionally I use it for clearing bigger areas in combination with the other machine. But I can go out for the day. I can get most of my apiaries, about 8 to 10 apiaries done in one day if you start early in the morning. It's a lot of work, but if you do it regularly and you just get on and blitz it, it's a day invested really well. Because when you go to the apiary the next time, it is like, oh, it's lovely. You just go in there and there's no grass at all, and you can see the bees and you can look in front of the hives, and it just feels absolutely great. So, also, I wanted to mention about safety gear. Get some decent equipment. Do not strim or whippersnip without a decent hat to protect your ears and to protect your eyes, because I am not joking. I see these people, you know, squinting as they're walking along because they've got some shit in their eye, you know, and you say, "You're right, mate," and they can't hear you because they're deaf because of the machine. And that is what it's like. It's like people who use chainsaws without the right equipment. You know, they must be mad, because you only need to, okay, you won't kill yourself with a strimmer, but by God, it hurts. I always wear jeans or long trousers and usually boots when I'm doing whippersnippering, because everyone will tell you who does it regularly. If you get a stone flipped up by that, you know about it, because it whacks you in the shin, and my God, it hurts. But it's just like a lot of things in beekeeping, it hurts. So get yourself a decent hat, get yourself some decent equipment, so you can, you know, so you feel you're doing the job properly, and you won't have any regrets, because that piece of kit will last you years if you look after it. Unfortunately, anything I've bought does self-destruct after a few years, because everything in the back of this truck gets thrown around. But as you know, I'm going to be changing my truck as soon as I can for a different closed van, and then it's more secure. That's about it. I'm going to take you down the bottom of the garden just to show you the machine working, and we'll get some strimming done and trim around the hives. One thing I forgot to add is when you're strimming around your beehives, you need to wear your bee suit. And that's quite good also, because it means you can just wear your ear protection. Put your hood on. So your hood is your visor that you get normally from your strimmer, and everything's good. But one thing I didn't mention is, if you don't know, bees hate strimmers. You're going to get stung if you don't wear your suit. Your hands are going to get stung. They get really pissy. But what I tend to do, excuse me, excuse me, nothing worse than sneezing in your bee suit. What I tend to do is I kind of work out a plan when I'm in an apiary, when I'm strimming, and I kind of an escape plan. So I start the furthest part away and I work backwards quickly. And usually if you are trimming around your hives, it's not too bad. It's just to get the grass around the tires I use, under the trestles and stuff like that. So it's pretty quick, but you just kind of work backwards as you go, and usually you don't have too much of a problem. So let's go and do it. Well, that's really pissed those bees off. I copped a sting in the back of the hand there. I don't know if you saw me there, but as you can see, it does a pretty awesome job. I mean, that's the kind of kit you want. Straight in there, strimmed it all, straight down. And the other beauty is, I'm desperately short of smoker fuel, and this week we're going to get a lot of sunshine, dry weather, much colder. So all this grass will dry out. The other thing I wanted to mention to you is, look, when I strim around my tyres, I don't lose any strimmer cord because the tyres are obviously soft. Doesn't ruin it at all. You can see there how quickly that's cleaned out, you know, it's brilliant. Such a great piece of kit. So anyway, I better get on. Got other ones to do. And whatever you're doing, enjoy your bees, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye for now.